Hello everyone, welcome to another video, and today I'm here interviewing Dr. Claw, who is over there. Say hello, Dr. Claw.
Hello, Dr.Claw.
Dr. Claw is one of the main organizers of At Party 2000. This year was 2025. You've been doing it since 2010. Is this correct?
Yeah, yep, 2010 was the first year. Matoikos and I ran it through, I believe it's 2014, and then I took over being the lead orga at that point.
Okay. So we were talking yesterday, and people were saying, "Oh, PS, why don't you do more interviews with people like party organizers and stuff?" Like, they're always tired to hell. Why would they want to do an interview right after they've been organizing a party? So Dr. Claw was online, and he confirmed that he was tired like hell, but he was up for an interview. So on a scale from 0 to 10, how tired are you from organizing a demo party right now?
Right now, tired from organizing a demo party. I'm probably only like 2. I have other stuff going on in my life we don't need to go into, and that stuff is pegging it otherwise. But I'm fine right now, so now it's good.
So how does it compare from the first times that you were organizing a party? Is it more stressful now, or was it more stressful then? How does it relate? For people who are not used to organizing demo parties, can you tell us a little bit how the...
Yeah, so this is the 15th at party. We did skip a year because, but the earliest at parties were unbelievably more stressful because we didn't know what the hell we were doing. We didn't know like what equipment we should be using, what sort of venue we should be using, how we get the word out, all that stuff. And as the years have gone on, it's just gotten easier and easier. So there was, I think it was 2014, might have been one of the worst years. We thought we had the venue for 2 days, which was a Friday and a Saturday. And the way it would always work is load everything into the venue Friday morning, open Friday night for people, and after we've built all day, and then have like the party the next day kind of thing. That year, we were doing it at MIT at the time, and they told us that, oh no, sorry, you can't actually have the room on Friday. So I had to get a friend of mine, and I don't even have a car, so I had to get a friend of mine to go, who didn't have a car either, to ride and get a zip van, so a rental van, bring it to my space at my workshop, Artisans Asylum, which is now where we hold it, but this is before that happened. And we had to load my refrigerator-sized subwoofers and all the rest of the equipment into the van, get it to the venue. Did I mention we woke up at like 4 or 5 in the morning? Like, I think we were loading at like 5 in the morning because we wanted to get everything like built enough that we could have a party starting at 10 a.m. So, and then we had to get it all out as soon as the party was done. So it was just a complete nightmare.
4-hour build, that
the,
sounds fine.
yeah.
It was how many people?
Yeah. The next year, I moved everything to Artisans Asylum, which is the makerspace I've been a part of for a long time. And it's like, why didn't we do this earlier? Because I pushed my subs about like 100 feet from my workspace into the venue space. And the same with basically everything else. I did bring like my projector and the compo machine from home. This year was actually super convenient. The Artisans Asylum digital design lab, where they do lots of like CAD and photography and stuff like that, got a grant, and they got a bunch of new PCs, and I just used one of their PCs. And I used one of our built-in projectors, and the only things I brought from home fit in a pair of bicycle panniers. So it was pretty convenient in that regard.
I always love the pairing of hackerspaces with this kind of demo parties, because culturally, demo parties used to be in like gymnasiums and stuff like that. Back then, there were no hackerspaces. Hackerspaces were like someone's garage. So, but nowadays there are so many hackerspaces around, and it feels like the Demoscene culture is like interwoven itself with the hacker culture and the hack lab and makerspaces culture a lot more. And it's a lot easier if you just have the space, you just have everything already set up. You don't need to be setting everything up on another place.
I also run audio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also the audiovisual lead for Artisans Asylum. So if I decide we're going to set the projector up this way, that's how it's set up, kind of thing. You know what I mean? I did sort of custom build the room that we went into as much as I could, despite contractors trying to fuck everything up by where they put the lights.
Yeah. It's one of the things that I'm trying to get here in Portugal is to have a space of our own and have like a makerspace sort of thing where we can dedicate it completely to the demo scene instead of having to move stuff around and just have the build stage. So yeah, very in line with the stuff. What other questions did I have for you? Headcount. How many people were at party this year?
I actually, I didn't write it down, but I have it written down. Just a moment, and I will count. Where's the other sheet of paper? Here they are. So, this is going to be... 1, 2, 3.
You're going to do a live head count?
So we had 35 registered attendees, but then anyone who was a member of Artisans Asylum got in for free, and I wasn't counting them. So I'd say maybe like 50 people at any one time like participated in the event. So not on the larger scale for at party. In 2019 we had over 100 people, and that was pretty crazy. We had multiple performers who brought in like their own crowds that stuck around and stuff like that. So that was a big year. Also kind of stressful, even though things were kind of figured out. I think the party server was just kind of a nightmare that year. So getting the party server online and working before the party is real good.
Yeah. Pro tip, get it online a week or a month before the thing. I started just putting the party system completely online without having to do any LAN stuff. Not waiting until the people arrive to the party place, because it's just more convenient.
Yeah.
And a lot of people also want to upload ahead of time and stuff like that, so they don't have to think about it. So, yeah, definitely.
That's what we did the last 3 years. The last 2 years we had Michael N. from the CMU area essentially donated a cloud server. And last year I spent 2 days before the party, I just built Woohoo into a Docker container, so that this year I just like turned the key and like, hey, it works. It has hard-coded values in it, so that's why it's not on GitHub yet. But it works. One of these days I'll figure that out and fix it so I can give it to other people.
So how many organizers are you?
So this year we essentially had like 4. We had Stefan Kevman doing scene set. We had Mr. Sinixter helping with the compos, and then I did everything else. I need more help, but
yeah, that's always hard to balance act like between the people that you need and the people who do the main stuff and delegating and all that kind of stuff. I guess I don't want to get too deep into that, but it's always nice to get more hands on deck to help with small things that you can just let them run with it and organize themselves. I guess you didn't really have to take care like the info desk duty, like someone being at the door at all times.
So the asylum has people at the door most of the time. I actually got my mom to sit the desk for like a few hours at night after they closed, just to make sure people could get in for the compost. So she's kind of an organizer too. The one thing that I've always had a problem with is I don't have a problem delegating to people, but what I have a problem with is finding people who are sufficiently interested, and I don't want to talk into making a prod instead of volunteering. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I'd rather have more prods, but.
So, tell us about the American scene, because it's one of the questions that I usually get. Either Europeans don't pay attention to the American scene, and they sometimes ask me, how's it like? Oh yeah, there are 3 demo parties. One of them is at party, and that kind of stuff. So. You lived it. You also been to Europe a couple of times, I believe. So how does it
definitely more than a couple.
What's the difference? Tell us about it.
It's definitely smaller, just like across the board. The other thing is that the U.S. is a big place, and something I hear from a lot of Europeans is when people are talking about like, oh, like, yeah, I'm in the U.S., but I live in L.A. Like, I can't come to that party. That's just too far. I mean, for me to get to Revision is a shorter plane ride than going to California. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I've been to Demo Splash. It's around the same size as that party, I'd say. Maybe a little bigger. They attract lots of like students and stuff like that. But something that I think the U.S. scene does less of is less modern stuff and less like
Modern how?
definitely not much Amiga, but a lot of people like the Commodore 64. So we frequently get some stuff that has something adjacent to the Commodore 64. People will try to do like just strange platforms. We had somebody wrote this Arduino Nano thing. Yeah. No, I'm not saying there's any problem with this stuff. Yeah, it's just differences. But then there's also the way that you run a party too. So when I run at party, I tend to try to focus the compos more on like the executable stuff, and I try to promote more for that. So we don't necessarily. In the early days, we got a bunch of people from Mod Shrine that are doing tracking and stuff like that. We don't really get much of that anymore. I mean, the music compo this year was all remote entries at this point, which I don't mind. It's fine. And I also don't really focus on the still graphics either. Generally, when I promote the party, I go to like hacker meetups and stuff like that and try to be like, hey, look at this graphic. Look at these graphics. It's playing music. It's 1K. It's like, oh, how do you do that? It's like, oh, here's how that works, and you know, go through that whole explanation because people get excited about that. People in the U.S. tend to be very busy with their jobs, and a lot of my nerdy tech friends, when they go home, like they don't really want to look at a computer. Like they might play a video game or something like that, but like they want to go on a hike or go for a bike ride or something, or like play D&D with me or something. They don't really want to like get hardcore into like hacking stuff. It's only a small group of people that are motivated enough to just keep hacking on stuff after work. And that was a lot of there were a lot of folks at a Kronos meetup that I went to. So that's Impact and Jimbo and Chris and those with Octopus Prime, people that have like released modern stuff over the past few years. They yeah, we met them there, and they're all great folks. And Provod too. Now we have a little Discord server where like that subgroup of people chats around, and Provod's part of that too, and has been releasing like good stuff the last couple of years here. So that's been good. Trying to think, the CMU folks. I mean, you should totally talk to at least somebody from Demo Splash at some point. They're really into like old school computers and making like boards to adapt
because
the
they have a
output
whole
signals.
retro museum, right? So it's normal that they want to show off that part.
Well, now they do actually. Bloop actually just is in the process of moving from Maryland to Pittsburgh. So yeah, that's going to be right nearby. But CMU also has a lot of like retro stuff too.
Yeah, that's why they in-house. I remember when I was watching the streams from Demo Splash, they always had, "Oh, we are going to get the computer because we have it here, and we are going to try to run it from the real hardware." You know, I hope you appreciate we are spending 2 hours trying to get this running on real hardware. An intro that takes like 20 seconds to run. I'm like, yes, that sounds cool.
The first, yep. I was just going to say the first at party, I brought my collection of old school stuff, all of it. It was like one entire van load and a trunk of a car. And I brought all, I'm like, yeah, you can all run stuff for real hardware. Let's do it. And every single thing that was supposed to run on some weird machine, like we ran it on that machine. But people only asked for like my Commodore, my Apple SE, and an NTSC monitor. Oh, excuse me, 2 NTSC monitors. I had to go back home and get another one because they were so popular. And then everything else just went right back in the van. I'm like, okay, from now on, if people want this stuff, they need to tell me in advance. Because most of the time, people just bring their own stuff. So
yeah,
you know.
yeah. We try to organize at Inertia. We organize a little bit of a retro corner, so people who would want to bring their stuff just to show have a list of people who is bringing what, so we don't have like duplicates. Of course, people can still bring their own, but try to have like a decent selection of different machines. And it was quite popular. Even random people don't know what the hell the Demoscene is. They still like to see the old machines, and you can see the limitations of each one, and have a little text explaining what they are. So it's a bit it connects the worlds of the old school platforms with the digital art sort of thing. Yeah, that's something that I always recommend other parties to do. But I mean, it's common that we usually on the Demoscene we always have retro computer people and more modern modern computing people. Other questions that I had for you. How the party originally started, I guess you already kind of talked about that. You were trying to set it up at MIT. Were you already related to Hackerspace, or?
So it started around the same time that I started riding with this crazy bicycle gang that operates out of Artisans Asylum. But we had started the ball rolling on doing the party before that. So Matoikos and I had gone to Assembly 2008, and then we went to Block Party, which was associated with a hacker conference called Nauticon in Cleveland, right after that. And then after that, Matoikos is like, we need to start our own party. I'm like, I'm trying to make a prod that isn't terrible. And she's like, no, we need to start a party. We need parties in the US. I'm like, okay, all right, let's start a party. And that's kind of how that worked. Our first 2 years were in this weird little hostel, sort of like out in the suburbs. And it was more her thing. I don't think it's bad. Like, people could all sleep there and stuff. That was actually kind of the thing. We were thinking about like had we gone to Solskogin at that point? I can't remember. That might have been after Solskogin. But like, we'd seen some of the more rural parties too, and we're thinking about like, we want this sort of like flavor of a Euro party. We don't just want to do it in a hotel.
Like a small meetup.
Yeah. Yeah, and we had a lot of people at that first one. I mean, I feel like we had at least like 60 or so people. It was a very small room. It's very sweaty.
That's how things start. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. And I remember staying up that first night I was trying to get some stuff working on one of my DOS machines so we could use it for a compo if somebody wanted it. I don't remember if we even did, but I stayed up all night with. I'm trying to remember his name. He is a North American guy. What was he? No. I stayed up with Citrix and Ferris.
Citrix is
and
not
Ferris
American?
Was. No. Citrix had been sleeping on my couch for 2 days before the party. right. He was between chiptune gigs. He's like, yeah, I'll totally come by for that party. Can I sleep on your couch? And like, sure, yeah. They performed. He won like half the compos.
I am not surprised. It's very good.
Yeah. And then Ferris was still living in America at that point, and he flew out here. And I forget if he didn't have a 1541 or broke it or something. But like, I had a stack of 3, and I'm just like, dude, you're awesome. Here, take one. It's yours. So that was fun. But no, it was nice having like the beds right there. So it's like, okay, we're done, bedtime. But we had no party system. We had to like count votes by hand, and we made custom awards for it. We basically had acetate, and then we printed on slide film and stuck it in the middle of some LEDs. It was fancy, but like that was a lot of work in comparison to these days. We give out books. It's fine.
I'm a very much fan of keep it simple. If you don't need a big party system, why are you bothering setting one up?
Trust me, we needed one. I feel like when you have fewer organizers, it's easier to have a party system so that all the stuff goes in one place. It's organized, assuming people actually follow the directions, and then it's easier to just take it out and run it, and you're good. But yeah.
Just thinking of stories, but let's not focus on those. I wanted to talk to you about your connection with the Northern Dragons folks. I remember there were a few mini at parties in Montreal. Can you tell us a little bit about those?
That was a little more Matoikos' end, but I was along for the ride for all this stuff and provided all the tech and stuff for that too. So essentially, those were in a hackerspace in Montreal, and I remember we brought up like the compo machine, maybe yeah, I built a DOS machine there. It was sort of trying to start something up there ish. I think like Barzul knew some people in a hackerspace up there, and we connected with them, and it was a collaborative kind of thing. It was just like it's just like a fast compo or two, something like that. Like the first year was like cheese, and the second year was like potatoes or something. So make it about potatoes. There we go. I mean, cheese was pretty easy. It's like
Was that
fromage.
connected? Was that connected to Synchrony at all, or?
Oh no, unrelated, but I mean, basically unrelated. It was prior to Synchrony. So Synchrony started in New York after that, and it was specifically in New York for I think 2 years, and then the whole train thing started where there'd be the concert at Baby Castles, and then everybody wakes up at an ungodly hour, gets on the train, and then we have like Commodores set up in the dining car. That was amazing. Like that was such an awesome idea from Nick. The quality of the releases wasn't necessarily amazing, especially if you were party coding on the train, but being able to say I party coded this on a train,
Yeah.
like I think I was in the middle of Vermont at the time when I finished. It's like there was a company up there, I think it was like people worked for like Shopify or something like that, and we used their like big sort of presentation room for the compos.
Nice.
And then I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think Nick stopped doing it as a combination of Baby Castles losing their space, so there was no like opener party thing venue for that, and then also COVID happened. I mean, it was like the last fun thing I did in 2020 was in January was Synchrony, so it's like, well, that was fun.
And now the world would shut down. How did you deal with the pandemic during Ad Party, by the way, for those who didn't follow?
It was a nightmare. It was the most unpleasant party running experience I've ever had. Basically because, as we've already gone over, I wear a lot of hats, and usually the way that, I mean, after doing the online one, I figured out that it's okay to wear all these hats and to get tired and to stay up super late when I see people's faces smiling and collaborating and new people meeting each other and talking and doing all the stuff, and just seeing them like chat in Discord just wasn't the same. And I also didn't have somebody to say like, oh, grab me that cable. Can you help me with this? Because, it's like, even when you have like, attendees and stuff like that, a small enough party, you can be like, hey, can you grab me the cable over there? Thanks. And then just plug it in and just do the thing. You don't have to get up. But this was like, and I was dealing with streaming stuff, and I'm not good at that. So I'm very happy that when
Did you get
CNET
help for that, like Kevman and those guys? So they
help
you on the online version?
They're professionals. They know how to do this thing. It's like thank you, thank you, CNET.
Yeah, I used it a lot during the pandemic as well to do all the live streaming stuff. That's one of the things that I want to ask you. Like, as a person who wears many hats, for people who aren't used to organizing demo parties, especially small demo parties, can you tell a little bit how you take the hats out, and how do you give them out to other people? What do you need to do to go from I'm a single man doing all the things, or I have one other person that I can help me with, to having a small group that can help make something not being soul-crushingly hard to do?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it has to do with figuring out like what all the jobs are. So I mean, somebody needs to find a venue and sort of like talk with the venue and make sure they understand what you're doing and what your needs are, and then you need to understand their needs and figure out how much this costs and all that kind of thing, and what you're going to do with how the proceeds are going to work. I'm not sure about how it would necessarily work in Europe, but I know that in the US, finding a space that lets you do something like a demo party is not easy. Like, everybody wants money. It's very hard to be able to let people like drink, even if they're just bringing their own beer or something like that. It's difficult letting people in at weird hours, making a lot of noise, all that stuff. So if you have access to like a big hackerspace or some kind of like community organization type center where they're okay with you having weird people come by at like making lots of noise at 3 a.m. and potentially drinking beer, that's great. But otherwise it gets challenging, especially like when we did at MIT. That was super rough because we couldn't even eat food in the room, and they kicked us out before midnight. So it's sort of like there was one time when somebody showed up and we actually had our shit together. We ran the compos on time, and it was still light outside when it was over. This one guy comes up and he's like, "Oh, I'm ready for the compos," and we're like, "Oh, they're over. We already gave the prizes out." so yeah, it's where it gets tricky. But like other jobs, I mean, you need somebody to organize all the equipment. So that is not just like all the computers, like the compo machines and stuff. You also need like the speakers and the microphones and the projectors and all that kind of stuff. You need to know how that stuff works. You need to know that the equipment you got works. The second ad party, we both of our we had a modern compo machine and a backup compo machine. Neither of them were entirely stable, and I found out it's because both of them had been overclocked previously. So you know, just be careful about that stuff. Other things, I mean, you need publicity. So, I mean, of course, do your own publicity in your own channels, but find other friends to like help you spread the word. Go to meetups. Have your friends go to meetups. Just talk about the things. Run workshops. I found that some of the best way to get people actually making prods is to run workshops where you teach them just basic stuff. Then they get super excited about it and they just go right into it. Some other things. I mean, you need people to run the door. You need somebody to figure out what the compo rules are going to be and like organize the compos. You need somebody to make a website and or social media or all that. So I mean, like for at party, I'm frequently just managing like these are the compo entries and making sure they work and that kind of thing. That's another thing. Like you can totally dole out testing of various compos to various people, especially like if they don't have something in the compo and they want to volunteer. That's a great way to do it. I actually organized the game compo at Revision 2014, I think it was. So yeah, I was in charge of that. And I mean, at Revision, they have like people for like all the different compos because they have so many entries. You can't, like one person can't do that. So yeah, like especially like if your party gets big enough. Like we've definitely had at parties with more entries than we just had, and I had dedicated compo organizers that helped me just like, you do these compos, I'm gonna do these, let's just test it all, make sure it works, that kind of thing. And then I feel like I was gonna say one other thing. Yeah, it's like when I was testing this stuff, Mr. Sinixter was handing out vote keys to everybody, just making sure that everybody had vote keys so that they could get their entries into the party system. And it was surprising. I basically had all the entries by the deadline. I'm like, wow, that never happens.
There's always that one person that wants to submit something after the deadline. So,
yeah, of course, and I kind of encourage it. You know what I mean? It's like, well, I mean, did you get a start and did you create a placeholder in the party system so I know what it is? You know what I mean? Also like food. So if your party's providing food, we provided pizza for a very long time on compo night, just so that people don't run away before the compos. So yeah, just having some sort of like snacks around and stuff is helpful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you ticked all the
all that
lights
stuff.
on my checklist of party organizing
Yeah,
duties.
yeah.
It checks out. H- how did you feel about entries this year? Do you think they are like same quality as previously? Are they going better? Are they doing worse? Is it because it comes in cycles?
It's
What's your
it's it's
opinion as an organizer?
it's fine. I mean, we've had more like a more impressive like collection of entries in previous years, but also we've done a better job promoting in previous years and had more people making entries in previous years. So like the one thing that I can really say about the compos this year that was nice is that people entered literally every compo, and there were multiple entries in every compo, so we could have a compo in every compo. So that was nice. Like at a little party like that party, we frequently have a problem where we'll get like three compos with like one entry, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, do we put all these in wild, or like, do I stick this one over in like intro? What is this even? So. So that was nice that I didn't even have to do those mental gymnastics. I'm like, oh, we just the combos are all happening. Let's do it. But yeah, so that's something I liked. Some of the entries I thought were really cool. Uh, in previous years, we have had so something I will say about the U.S. scene is that I feel like there are more individuals making prods than groups making prods. And while I really love things that individuals make, I think it's more awesome when you see a group of people get together and make something cool. So that's something that it's always nice to see when that happens.
I think even in
It's one of
Europe,
these
it's
things.
I think even in Europe, it's starting to become less common for
Okay.
whole groups to do that, as like compared to like the 90s or stuff like that. It
Yeah,
feels
yeah.
more like it's individual efforts, and then people, asking their friends who are good at this part of thing to contribute to that. That's the feeling I have, at least. I don't have any statistics to back that up.
Yep. But I also don't like to judge the entries at my own party very much because I made the rules. I decide what order they're going to play in, kind of thing. So like, you've seen my decision, and you can read between the lines if you want to. But beyond that, yeah, exactly. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So beyond that, it's up to you folks how you felt about things. The entry I had the most fun with was when we had. It's on the stream. We'll make sure to get a live video posted. But Chris had this Raspberry Pi Nano thing. And I'm like, how are we going to do that? I'm like, oh, you can just hold it up to the stream cam. Then I'll just put the stream on the projector. And it was on like a 30-second lag. And it was just really weird. And I had to make. Yeah, exactly. Bit flipper. I had to make up some bullshit to just like fill the empty air while we were waiting for it to actually come up on screen. It was fun.
It's interactive.
Yes. I mean, I will say that I really liked Cathode, which was the DJ Level 3 from Bus Air Collective.
Yeah, with
Did another one of the oscilloscope music things, and Provod from Jetlag did the 4K intro. Yeah, the one from last year was certainly stronger, and like I'm sure he agrees with that. But this one was still, it was like, hey, it's a 4K. It looks decent. It's happening. Here we go.
Like raycasting Minecraft. Was what it seemed.
Exactly. Yep. With this weird like box that everything was like going through, kind of reminded me of when you saw like the voxel landscapes and the old school demos and stuff like that, where they could only do like this much, they couldn't draw out to infinity. but instead of having just darkness, it was a box, and you saw the box. It was kind of neat, different. But yeah, that one I think connected more with some of the complete newbies that I had just shown an hour's worth of some of the best demos I could find since the past at party on Pouet. And they're all hyped up on that, so they were excited when they saw something that was a little more 3D, was in the base a little.
How many newcomers do you usually have at party? Just random curious people.
Yeah. I mean, there was. Let me think. I'm feeling like there were at least a dozen people that were just
Pretty good.
seemed new to me, and at least one of them entered something. That would have been the intro that I played first. It was the one with the like buildings that it was just like the buildings and no music.
The 11th hour.
11th hour. Yep,
So,
that's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. One of the issues that I usually have is like finding free time for inertia organizing, like finding free time to do all the outreach that should be done to make sure that you have more people in. So any pro tips on that, or you just do what you can and that's it, and hope someone else
so this year I've unfortunately had some life complications. I was planning to run like a couple classes and go to more meetups and stuff like that, but my last 2.5 months have been kind of bulldozed, so that fell off the table. But in previous years, the thing that has always worked the best has been consistently going to like local meetups for various things. Like back around like 2015 and 2019, like the Boston VR meetup was like a big deal. Headsets were like just becoming available, and we actually had like I brought my Vive to the party. I'm like, yeah, write a demo for the Vive. Nobody did, but they played around on it at least. So it's like, whatever. I mean, at least we're getting excited about technology here. And it was actually because at one of the MIT parties, Jimbo had written a shader engine, essentially something kind of like shader toy for a Rift Ray is what he called it, and it would run the Oculus Rift, and you could just like go for a little. You know, you could WASD and mouse around and just go through these crazy shaders from demos and stuff like that. So I remember doing like Ancient Temple and like flying through the sky. I'm like, this is amazing. I'm gonna get a VR headset immediately. This is what it's made for. But yes, stuff like that. Yeah. Also, there's a group called Boston Tech Poetics that's about just computer art or like technological art. They do lots of like 3D printing and stuff too. But
okay.
There's definitely a cross section of people from that group that are know about the demo scene, are into it, maybe haven't made a demo, but they'll totally show up and maybe make one. So, you know, and if you can teach a workshop, that, like I said, I feel like that's the best, because then people see, they get like the idea, and then they're like, oh, I can do this thing, and then they, you know, they have like the building blocks they need to just get started, you know.
Well, where do you go to give the workshops? Do you go to like to schools to push the idea, or do you just host them? Well, you have a hackerspace, so it's easier for you to find a place.
Yeah. So the plan this year had been to like actually offer like a class on GLSL at the asylum. Previously, what I'd done was I would just go to these meetups and just run a workshop for like 3 hours or something like that, and just talk a lot about like basic shader coding, like this is how you do like an SDF, and like look, you can use like Boolean operations to do this stuff, to like turn this cube into a like inside out cube or something, you know. It's like anyways, but yes, stuff like that, just meetups and stuff like that, because there are lots of, at least in Boston, there are lots of tech groups. So that's one nice thing that we have around here. If somebody's in a more like rural location, it might be a little more complicated. You might need to do like an online kind of thing.
Is there any game development community in Boston? I'm not very inside the game dev.
Yep.
So
yeah, definitely. Actually, KB came once and visited the rock band people, Guitar Hero. Who remind me who that was?
I don't know the name of the company.
Yeah,
I know who they are.
Yeah, I can't remember their. Yeah, but he came and visited them. Like they were local. Harmonics, that's right. And we used to go to more game dev meetups. I'd probably do that again if I had more time. I mean, these days I'm focusing more on like, you know, people who are not there to talk about work, and there to talk about like just like fun graphic stuff that they do in their spare time. So, and the game dev meetups around here tend to be a combination of both. I haven't been in a long time. There's a Boston Indies meetup, and there was a Boston postmortem for a while where they basically bring people in to do like a postmortem on like some game that they released, or like this is the music I wrote for this game, yeah, that kind of thing.
Because there's such a big overlap with the game dev. I mean, at least in Europe, there are a lot of game development people involved in the demo scene, or they used to be in the demo scene, and now they're in game dev or retiring from game dev and having more time to the demo scene again. So there's always a very big overlap.
I think the decreased overlap around here might be just corporate culture in America, like just I don't know how it is for you folks, but
I refuse to believe that. I refuse to believe that America is inherently capitalist and everyone in America only cares about making money and they don't care about making art. I refuse.
No, that's not what I mean. What I mean is because the people at the top think that way, everybody below them has to do more work and like has all this unlimited vacation, which means like, I guess I'll take vacation next month because like this has to get done and I need to like look good at my stand-up meeting and all this crap. So yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking from personal experience, yeah, exactly. That's how they get you. Yeah, exactly.
AI. Do you want to talk about AI, or shall we skip the
mandatory
AI rambling on how it's coming to kill the demo scene and how we can't use anything? Okay, let me try to pose a question out of this. So, there have been a few people, to the various degrees of what a few people entails, they've been more critical about AI in the demo scene, that we shouldn't be tolerating any AI whatsoever in the demo scene. I kind of understand their point of view. At the same time, there are other people in the demo scene who see it as a new technology, and we should be exploring technology to the maximum of its ability, because that's what the demo scene is supposed to be. And there are a few people who are more, I want to say, fundamentalist, without being it as a swear word of any kind. If they see any AI in anything demo scene, like if you use it for a background image, you are Satan and they are going to boycott your party. And personally, I have a bit of a middle ground, okay, if you want to have a competition without any AI involved, write it in the rules and that's fine, let's do it like that. But if you want to use AI for other stuff, I would personally also be willing to see that and see if it's interesting, if it's not interesting, if it makes someone's life easier, making a fucking website that no one wants to waste their time doing, but needs to be done and needs to be interesting, and you can't half-ass it, and no one has time to, do the design for it. You ask someone to do the design, they tell you yes, and then they fuck off for 2 months and you have to do it yourself. Has been happened to all of the demo party organizers that I know of. So whenever I see someone complaining, whenever I see someone complaining that the background image was done with AI on your website, yeah, okay, maybe they don't understand the full picture of organizing a demo party. Anyways, my question for you is, what side are you on? Do you not pick a side? How do you deal with all of this fundamentalist versus non-fundamentalist?
I am also not all the way on one side or the other. I am more on the side of no AI, but the thing is that when I was in grad school, I actually did machine learning research, so I understand how this stuff works. And the thing that I have a problem with are people using models trained on data sets from other people's creative work. So the way I think about it is, it's sort of like, if you're not supposed to use somebody else's music or graphics or something in your compo, if you're not supposed to like trace some comic book art with your ANSI or something
then
like
AI
that,
should also not be allowed.
Then you shouldn't use a model that was trained on somebody else's work. However, if you've got data, or you've got publicly available data, like legitimately, like somebody made this data and they said, have fun, train on this, do whatever you want with it, right? Like totally cool. Like train it on Shakespeare. There you go. That's great. We actually had an entry at Party. I think it was called Life and Afterlife or something. Maybe I think it was like 2017 or something like that, and my recollection was it was something to do with running a neural network and doing something. And I remember there's some graphs and stuff like that. It wasn't using other people's data. It wasn't doing like any of this homogenized slop stuff. It was just somebody's weird idea about like, I want to use a neural network for something. And I am 100% on board with that kind of thing. Like if somebody wants to go and actually advance the like what can be done with the technology in an artistic context, that is awesome. If someone just wants to go like use Stable Diffusion to like make a bunch of like silly pictures to put in their Amiga demo, that just seems kind of lazy to me. But that's my opinion on that. Okay. And I mean, as far as like code and stuff like that goes, it's more of an honor system thing. It's sort of like if the organizer is sort of like, well, we don't want AI code tools used for the demo, then it's sort of like, I mean, how are they going to prove that? Yeah, it's like I'm not asking for, yeah.
Only when it's possible. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and I mean, this kind of thing's gone on for a while, right? It's like you can say, like, yeah, only use your own code in your demo, but like somebody could have ripped some code out from somewhere else. You're not going to know because they just give you binaries. So it's the same thing, and I feel like it's not necessarily a bad thing if there are some bad actors, because really the only person you're cheating is yourself, right? You didn't actually go through and learn those things, so making the next thing, you won't know how to iterate on it as well, you know? So
my claim is that there were always bad actors at some point. There were always people trying to take shortcuts, and sometimes they would get caught, sometimes they would not. So I don't see it as a new thing whatsoever. It's just another step in technology. But I see a lot of people up with pitchforks trying to, you know, you have not corrected your rules to say that no AI is allowed on your compo. Therefore, I'm not participating on your party ever again. I mean, come on. Dialogue, please communicate. I know this is the internet, but we can do better than this. Speaking about communication, I was watching some videos, and I want you to tell me how good am I doing. So I need to do an "or." I'm trying to practice my Boston accent. I'm not sure how good I'm there. I think it's about South Boston, but I'm not sure. And I confuse it a lot with Jersey accent. I don't know why.
You're going way more Jersey there.
Going too much to the South.
Well, it's the war thing that you're doing. It's hell. I even start
too much pronunciated war. So I should do less of a war.
My recommendation would just be like watch more videos with people actually using Boston accents, and then maybe watch some videos of people doing Jersey accents and just try to figure out the difference.
I'm gonna try and see what happens. Maybe one day I'll pull off the Boston accent. I don't know. I confuse them a lot because, you know, for me it's just American accents, and then there are multiple of them. So I don't know where they're from exactly. I just know that they have an accent. I don't know where from exactly. Yeah. So especially all the New York, New Jersey, Boston, they all seem very similar to me.
They are more similar than like when you have like the various Southern accents. Like I was saying to Matoiko, something about Southern accent. She's like which Southern accent? I'm like, just nebulously Southern.
Alabama. I know how to do Alabama accent. That's very easy. Just from the South. Anyways, is there anything that you'd like to say about the party before we wrap up the interview, or about the demo scene in general? Any thoughts that you would like to share?
I mean, just thanks to everybody who has come to that party, submitted things at that party, helped out at that party over the years. It's always fun to be able to run a creative thing that is awesome, and also the whole combination between technological engineering stuff and the creativity is always fun and always awesome. I mean, I feel like that's like 90% of what I care about in my life. So it's nice to see this stuff thrive. I'm happy to be able to help keep it going here, and I just hope that all of you out there, wherever you're living, that you can keep it going where you live too.
All right, Dr.Claw, thank you so much for being with us on this interview, and I see you again on the internet. Bye-bye. Take care.
Excellent. See you later.